Greetings from beautiful Nashville, Tennessee, where we're having a gorgeous spring day, and where I have a new puppy to introduce you to. This is Scout, and she's a 4.5-month-old Border Collie puppy that I got from the East Tennessee Border Collie Rescue Society, and she's an amazingly adorable dog and a good companion to Maddie. So, just wanted to introduce y'all to her. I know, Maddie, I didn't forget you. Okay, so this is spring in Nashville. It's beautiful. I've been meeting with several different songwriters and songwriting groups that are in town for Ten Pin South and just all the fun spring in Nashville, because we get warm a little sooner, I think, than some of you do up north. So great time to be here. Anyway, I've been enjoying meeting with all of you that have come through, and I hope to see more of you in the spring and summer as more of you travel to Nashville to check it out. I got some really good group deals coming up that I'm going to talk about in at another time as soon as they're finalized. But all you people who have NSAI chapters or songwriting groups, this is going to be real cool for you. It's a kind of a fun day in the studio for your group exclusively. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Today I want to do a little bit of a crafting tip, because I've been hearing back from so many of you and getting good response on the crafting ideas, and I know some of you share them with your groups. That's wonderful. It's a great way for me to get out to y'all without being there. Although I do intend to do more workshops this year, so if your group's interested in bringing me down to do one, then feel free to contact me about it. Meanwhile, today let's talk about a lyric crafting tool that I think is amazingly helpful and real simple. And it's one, if you practice, it will start to kind of become second nature to you. And if you study hit songs on the radio, I think that you'll find this is a really cool formula that they use, and will help kind of take your songs to the next level, where you're kind of reaching a broader audience with them, where you're digging a little bit deeper into emotions, and you're finding the listener able to connect with your messages a little bit easier and stronger. This tool is really very simple. It's 3 steps. On your first verse, I want you to use that verse to establish. That's where you ask yourself who, what, where, when, why, and how, and answer all of those questions. Now, you may not need to answer them in the song, but you do need to have them clear in your own mind, because it's hard to explain it to the listener and give them the information that they need to, number 1, understand your subject matter, and number 2, to care about it, to respond to it emotionally, and that's what we're going for. So use your first verse to establish the scenery. Where is this taking place? Establish the timeline. Is it a recent memory or a distant memory, or happening in the present moment, or is it something you're dreaming for the future? But establish the timeline. Whoever your character is speaking in the song, establish their relationship to what other characters there are. Whether they're singing to someone, about someone, we need to know what the relationship is of the singer to that other character. Because, you know, we love drama. It's human nature, and that's what we respond to, is the emotion. And the relationship between the characters is where that emotional bond begins. So let us know what the relationship is. Let us know only as much history as we need to. Don't give us a lot of extraneous information. Give us just what we need to understand the story. So imagine the video of your song playing as you're reading your first verse lyric. And of course, melody and music are important to that too, but I'm just talking about lyrics today. Read your first verse lyric back to yourself, and then imagine what video is going to be playing behind it, because that's what the listener is going to be doing. You're putting a picture in their mind. What image are they getting? Is it a confused image? Is it very clear? So that's what you're shooting for. You want them to actually see this unfolding, see the characters, know why the characters are doing what they're doing, and know what they're feeling as they're doing it. First verse establishes who, what, where, when, why, and how. Your chorus is always the conclusion. It's always the punchline. Sometimes, not only new writers, but established writers too, we get caught up into trying to make too much happen in the chorus. You know, we have all these great ideas and plays off of our hook, and we want to be very clever, and we want to use everything we can think of that relates to it. But what I encourage you to do is actually do like a brain purge. Just write everything down on paper that comes to you that's clever about the hook, every angle that you might approach it from. That's kind of your worksheet. Just lay that aside. And when it comes to writing your lyrics, again, focus on what information does the listener need to understand your hook. What's going to set that hook up so that when we get to it, it's the aha moment of the song. I want to hear that hook and go, aha, yeah, been there, done that, or wish I was there, wish I could be this person. I want that to be the payoff, the punchline of the joke, whether it happens at the beginning of your chorus or at the end. So if the first verse says, this, and this are true, imagine your chorus beginning, imagine it doesn't have to be on paper, with the word therefore. If this are true, therefore, here's the logical conclusion to that, summed up in a nutshell in one very clever, wildly creative sentence. That's your hook of your song. And everything that comes before that needs to have a chronological and a logical flow to get to that hook of the song. All your chorus has to do is make that statement. It doesn't have to support it. Don't give me any information about the timeline or the scenery or the characters. It's just the punchline. And that really makes it so easy. I mean, choruses are hard because we try and get too elaborate and clever with them. Just the punchline. I don't care if it's 2 lines, 4 lines, or 8 lines. That's all it needs to do. Verse 2 should elaborate on any information you've given us before. So, if your first verse is set as a recent memory, last week my girlfriend dumped me, then perhaps in verse 2 you want to progress that timeline. You want to say, now it's a week later, I wake up, I make coffee and breakfast for 1. I think about what I'm going to do with my day instead of what we're going to do with this beautiful day. You might want to progress the timeline. You might want to further our understanding of the relationship. If verse 1 was about a new relationship and falling in love, then perhaps verse 2 is, now that we're more established, I love these things about you that I didn't even know about in verse 1. You can progress the timeline, you can deepen the relationship, you can introduce a new character, but only if it really is necessary to develop the story more. So verse 1 establishes, tell me what we're going to talk about, what journey we're going to go on together. Are we going to laugh together, cry together, dance together? Let's do it. Promise me what you're going to do in verse 1. The chorus is strictly to conclude. That's your payoff. Verse 2 is to elaborate on any information that's come before. Okay, I know what you're all thinking. What about the bridge? We haven't addressed that. I love bridges, and bridges go back to classical music, really, where you wanted a third musical section. And I totally agree with that. Most of us get as songwriters that we need a different musical section and a different melodic section. It just kind of gives you a chance to get away from the familiar, refresh the palate, cleanse the palate a little bit, refresh your ears, and then want to come back to the familiarity of the verse or chorus music and melody. And that's great. But when you come back with a bridge, when you divert us from that with a bridge, you must divert us lyrically too. And that's the problem. Too many of us get real creative in our chord structure, we get creative in our bridge melodies, and it really takes the listener somewhere new, and it's fun. But we forget about the lyric, and we just kind of repeat things that we've already said. I don't like that at all. If a bridge is going to be there, it needs a reason to live. You have to give it a reason to exist. And that reason needs to be new information. You have to tell me something you haven't told me yet. Sometimes this can be just a different timeline. You can have talked about the past and or the present in your verses. And maybe your bridge says, I can't wait to wake up 5 years from now and still be in love with you the way we are today. It could progress the timeline and just project into the future. A dream for the future, a wish, whatever. Another way, and this is the way I really like to see bridges used, is to come at your hook from a different angle. Is there another thing that hook could mean, rather than the meaning for it that you've given me throughout the song in the verses and chorus? If you could approach it from a different direction, with a different person speaking, or just make it mean something totally new, that's the most clever use of a bridge, because it gives the listener a reason to want to hear your chorus again after the bridge, because now they're hearing it and it means something new to them. They're hearing it with fresh ears totally. They're getting back to the familiar melody and chord structure, but it takes on a whole new meaning lyrically. And that, when you can do it, is the absolute best use of a bridge. So, little snippet lesson, condensed version of one of my full-day workshops. But I hope that it helps you, and I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to share it with your group, your friends, whatever. Periodically I'm going to do little crafting tips like this in addition to information and news and just saying hello to you. I appreciate you all paying attention to the Songwriters Connection that Susan Tucker puts out. I totally enjoy participating in that and appreciate all of her hard work putting it out for you for free. Kim Copeland Productions is one of the sponsors of it because we believe in connecting songwriters all over the world. And thanks for listening, thanks for writing all the great songs, and love meeting you. Come to Nashville and see me, and give me a call if and when you're ready to record. Take care and have a great spring.